Welcome to World Power Circles, where we break down the wars, decisions, and power moves that reshape your world in real time. In today's video, you'll get the full picture of a war that is already raising your gas prices, stranding travelers worldwide, and threatening to drag in new nations by the hour. The United States and Iran are at war right now, in the third week of active combat, and almost nobody is telling you the full story. 15,000 targets struck, millions displaced, global oil supply in chaos. Stay with us, this is what's really happening. About half of those are U.S. Marines. These are specialists trained for amphibious landings and securing maritime choke points, exactly what the crisis at the Strait of Hormuz demands. This deployment has not been officially announced, but U.S. officials briefed reporters on the mission tonight. The task force is currently docked in Japan, 2 weeks away from the battlefield. Meanwhile, President Trump issued a chilling statement today. The Islamic Republic will be hit very hard over the next week. He promised an end to the war, but only when he, quote, feels it in his bones. Let's talk about the bombing campaign, because the scale of it is staggering. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed that U.S. and Israeli forces have struck 15,000 targets across Iran since the war began 2 weeks ago. That's more than 1,000 strikes per day. Among the most feared weapons deployed are the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, capable of flying undetected deep into enemy territory and delivering massive bunker-busting payloads. U.S. Central Command released its own footage of those nighttime raids, a calculated psychological move. They want the Iranian regime to see exactly what's coming for them. Iran's Air Force, our defense systems, and entire Navy have reportedly been destroyed, according to the U.S. military. If true, this is one of the fastest military degradations in modern history. On the streets of Tehran, loyalists rallied in a show of defiance, holding the image of Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, whose father was killed in the initial strikes. But Mujtaba Khamenei himself has not been seen. The U.S. claims he was wounded and likely disfigured in the very first wave of attacks, and is now in hiding. But behind the military briefings is a human catastrophe that is growing every single hour. The Iranian Red Crescent reports that nearly 20,000 homes have been damaged across the country. Schools, businesses, and 16 of their own humanitarian facilities have been hit. The United Nations says more than 3 million Iranians have been forced to flee their homes. 3 million. That's the population of a major city, and displaced in 2 weeks. At Turkey's border with Iran, one displaced man described bombs raining down on his homeland, a phrase that tells you everything you need to know about the intensity of the strikes. Near the city of Isfahan, someone captured footage of airstrike after airstrike in rapid succession. Even the man filming seemed torn, relieved to see regime infrastructure hit, but terrified at the scale. The humanitarian consequences are not a side effect of this war for millions of ordinary Iranians. They are the war, and they will outlast every military briefing. Meanwhile, Iranian state television tried to project calm, broadcasting President Masoud Pezeshkian walking casually through the streets, looking almost relaxed, even as bombs fell nearby. In one extraordinary moment, a live airstrike exploded near the set of a state TV interview. The camera caught the blast in real time. The regime official kept talking. "People are not afraid," he said. "Now let's talk about what this war is doing to your wallet, because it already is." The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway barely 33 kilometers wide at its tightest point, carries roughly 20% of the world's entire oil supply. Right now, it has effectively shut down. Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces have been broadcasting warnings to all ships attempting to pass. The message is simple: you sail through, you do so at your own risk. Hundreds of millions of barrels of oil are now stranded, sitting on tankers, in port storage, or simply left in the ground, waiting for a conflict that shows no sign of ending. One tanker crew member described their daily reality. Every morning, they can see missile launches and hear explosions from the deck. They feel like they are in a war zone because they are. In the UK, petrol prices have surged 8 pence per litre in under 2 weeks, reaching an 18-month high. Diesel is up nearly 17 pence per liter. These are real numbers hitting real families. Crude oil has now settled around $100 a barrel, up sharply from pre-war levels, and that is despite emergency releases of stockpiled oil from reserves around the world. The UK's Chancellor summoned petrol retailers to Downing Street. The Energy Secretary warned of action against price gouging. The retailers hit back, saying ministerial language had caused their staff to face abuse at the pumps. At the same time, compare this year's tanker traffic at Hormuz to the same day last year. Last year, busy. Today, near standstill. Nothing is officially getting through. That gap tells you everything. And the ripple effects are global. Supply chains, food costs, airline fuel surcharges. Every time you pay more for anything that moves or is made with energy, this war is in the price. Defense Secretary Hegseth was asked directly, can the U.S. guarantee naval escorts for tankers trying to pass through Hormuz? He could not. He called it sheer desperation. We're dealing with it. He said, here is where the story gets even more dangerous, because this war has now given Russia a lifeline. Rising oil prices are generating an estimated $150 million extra per day for the Russian economy. Ukraine's President Zelensky is furious, and he's right to be. The United States, facing pressure to ease the global oil crunch, has now announced it will loosen sanctions on countries buying Russian oil already loaded on ships, a 30-day waiver for now. The Kremlin called the move welcome news. Russian state media celebrated it, and analysts say it sets a dangerous precedent that sanctions on Russia can be reversed under pressure. Zelensky warned, these sanctions, you give Russia more money for missiles, more money for drones, more money to destroy Ukrainian cities. He called on the G7 not to let this happen. France's president reinforced that warning at the G7, saying Russia already benefits from this war and that rising oil prices must not lead anyone to soften their position on Russian sanctions. In Moscow, our correspondent noted that Russia sees an opportunity here, not just a temporary windfall, but a long-term push to dismantle the entire sanctions architecture that was built after the Ukraine invasion. And then there's the shadowy connection the UK's defense secretary raised to Putin's hidden hand, he called it. Britain says some of Iran's military methods and capabilities trace directly back to Moscow. Trump was asked about it directly. Do you think Putin is helping them? His answer, I think he might be helping them a little bit, yes, I guess. Not exactly a forceful response. Britain has been pulled into the conflict, not in a direct combat role, but in a defensive one that is growing by the day. Overnight, British Typhoon jets flew air defense operations over Bahrain for the very first time. F-35s are now flying defensive sorties over multiple Gulf states to protect British interests and citizens. A British counter-drone unit in the region shot down multiple drones in a single night, a sign that the conflict's front lines are spreading far beyond Iran's borders. In Oman, 2 people were killed after security forces intercepted a drone near an industrial area. Even nations not directly involved in this war are now under fire. In Dubai's financial district, a building was struck by debris after a drone was shot down nearby. Abu Dhabi police made 45 arrests for people filming and sharing footage of the attacks online. The Gulf states, some of the world's wealthiest nations, are now facing a new reality. They are in the blast radius of a war they did not start and cannot fully control. And next month's Formula One Grand Prix in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, almost certainly cancelled. The announcement is expected this weekend in Shanghai. The cancellations could cost Formula One over $100 million. Now to a story that barely anyone is covering. In the mountains of northern Iraq, thousands of Iranian Kurdish fighters are watching this war and waiting for their moment. These are people who have been in exile for decades, many of them fleeing after the Islamic Republic killed their families, their friends, their brothers and sisters. One fighter, Shaho Bluri, told our correspondent that the regime killed 18 members of his extended family directly, including a brother who was hanged. He was asked, if you could go home tomorrow, what would you do first? His answer, go to my mother's grave, put flowers down, visit every family member I lost, and tell them I remember you. I cry for you. These fighters call themselves the Peshmerga, meaning those who face death. They are trained, armed, and organized. Their slogan, echoing the protest movement crushed inside Iran: woman, life, freedom. Multiple Iranian Kurdish opposition groups have now joined forces, pooling resources and fighters. They want one thing from the United States: a no-fly zone that would let them cross back into Iran. Trump has blown hot and cold on this, at times encouraging Kurdish involvement, at other times pulling back. One commander told our correspondent bluntly, "Personally, I don't trust Trump. He may just stop this war." The fear is real that Trump could declare victory, pull out, and leave these fighters stranded on the wrong side of the border, just as has happened before with American allies in the region. While our correspondent was filming with the Kurdish fighters, the commander suddenly received intelligence: a drone strike warning, scatter. He said, "Spread out, don't be a target." The correspondent and crew were told to leave immediately. The fighters stayed watching the sky, weapons ready, still waiting for America to decide whether their moment will ever come. Back home, or rather, stuck far from home, tens of thousands of ordinary people are trapped abroad because of this war. Almost 70,000 British nationals have returned to the UK since the conflict started, but thousands more remain stranded across the world. Their connecting flights through Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Qatar cancelled without warning. Debbie and Arden went on a 2-week tour to Sri Lanka. They've now been stuck for nearly a month, hand-washing clothes in a budget hotel while their tour operator scrambles to get them home. One of the stranded travelers said it best: "There are thousands of us out there, people with hospital appointments, people with jobs, people who can't just wait." Henry and Aniko were at a friend's wedding in India when the conflict broke out. With their baby daughter back home with grandparents, they spent 4 desperate days searching for a flight. Every time they found a flight and started booking, it would disappear mid-checkout, sold out, over and over again. When they finally found one, it cost them £6,500 of savings they had put aside for their house deposit. The advice: if you're stranded, register with your country's foreign office immediately. Keep every receipt. Stay in contact with your airline. And critically, do not cancel your return flight. It limits your rights. If your tour operator cancels, you may be entitled to a full rebooking or refund, but only if the foreign office officially advises against travel to your destination. Check your travel insurance. Many war exclusions apply. Now let's zoom out, because what's happening here is not just a military conflict between two countries. This is a realignment of global power playing out in real time. The United States has effectively declared war on Iran without a formal congressional declaration. The speed and scale of this campaign suggests long-term planning. This was not improvised. The Trump administration has 3 goals running simultaneously: destroy Iran's military capacity, protect Israel, and force a new diplomatic deal. Whether it achieves all 3 is far from guaranteed. Russia is the silent winner of this conflict. For now, every barrel of Iranian oil that can't reach market boosts Russian revenue. Every distracted Western ally is one less focused on Ukraine. But Putin also faces a risk: if this war ends quickly and oil prices collapse, his windfall evaporates. And if NATO refocuses on Ukraine with renewed urgency, the costs go up fast. China is watching all of this very closely. It imports more Iranian oil than anyone else. If the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, China faces an energy crunch that could slow its entire economy. For the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, this is an existential moment. They are caught between their U.S. defense relationships and the Iranian missiles flying overhead. And for Iran itself, despite the regime's public defiance, the combination of destroyed infrastructure, 3 million displaced citizens, and a new supreme leader in hiding paints a picture of a state under maximum pressure.